Hi, I'm George. This is Phat Ninja Farm. We're just out walking through the garden this morning, collecting some food. And I noticed some more peas are starting to flower. I was just talking with the neighboring friends about things flowering in the yard, and we've had quite a few through people this year. With the quarantine, as they walk by, we got a plant stand out front. So we're doing tours with distancing. But they come through and they say that our property seems to be farther ahead than quite a few places they've seen. And I'm not saying this to brag because it's not me. We get very little sun here, less than 6 hours in most of the yard where we grow the food. But by observing that sun's pattern and planting accordingly, creating microclimates, we've been able to work with nature, collecting and storing that energy, helping us move things along a little faster, I believe. Storing that heat overnight, making the sun hit the garden in certain areas first thing in the morning. Well, let's take a look. So there's lots of concrete blocks and ponds on the property. They all catch and store that heat from the day before, giving it back overnight, creating a microclimate. On the opposite side of that, where the canopy fills in, I've been over there on a 90+ degree day with a friend and his young daughter, eating figs off the tree, enjoying ourselves for an hour in the yard, where you can stand for 15 minutes in the sun comfortably. So thinking like that, I'm competing with the ducks right now. So we'll go out and have a look in the garden and talk about a couple of these ways we planted. This is our east on this side. The sun comes up over here, setting over here in the west. So because of that, we get a lot of afternoon shade from these trees. The upper garden gets a lot of shade all morning long. We got a hawk being chased by these crows. I don't know if we're gonna be able to make it out. See him getting them? It fascinates me that a crow will get a hawk. Probably have to zoom in. Okay. Back to permaculture, back to guilds, back to microclimates, collecting and storing energy, and observing the patterns in our yard. So as I was saying, this is east. We don't get much sun up here until almost noon. But in that little blank area there, the sun hits right about where that hazelnut tree is, just past this fig without leaves. It hits there first, and the top of that hazelnut's the last one to get sun. That's because over here to the west, as the sun sets, it lands in that hole in the trees. By observing that, let's pause. I gotta go see what's going on. Okay, so by observing that sun, as I designed this property, going south is that way, east, west. Winter sun's coming up about here, setting here. Summer sun would be a little farther back behind me and up over my head, setting through that gap. Watching that through the first years, I had gardens down below where the sun was. We designed this to have all the fruit trees in the sun's path. The apples, the pears, the figs, the Asian pears, the peach, the mulberries, multiple of each, all starting here in this path in front of us, doing almost a U shape around the garden. And what that allows Just when that morning sun comes up, it lands on those leaves. Any breeze we get blows through here, taking the mildew, the dew off those leaves, which is a breeding ground for diseases. So it dries them out right away by the sun and the wind, and they get sun all day to develop fruit. We knew that by observing the property and planting accordingly. As far as the observing with the annuals, we have lots of strawberries planted down front here. Catching the heat of these concrete blocks, storing that, helping them get it started a little faster. And this tiny little difference here where the sun catches the front until it works its way past these trees keeps the rest of this in the shade until almost noon, where this probably gets it about, well, it's 10 o'clock now. But it takes quite a while for it to work its way over here. So as we can see from here, out where the fruit trees and berry bushes are, there's a lot of sun. We do plant annual crops within that, mostly the long-term storage crops, stuff we don't have to pay a lot of attention to. We plant it, look at it once or twice a week, go squish bugs, but in general we don't have to do much with it. Up here's the long-term annuals. We're in this area every day, twice a day at least. But a good part of this doesn't get that sun. I was talking with a friend the other day. She was talking about her peas not flowering yet. At that time, it was 2-3 days ago, these hadn't flowered yet. They're just starting to now. But 15 feet away or less, planted at the same time. And the same variety have flowers all over them. Young peas. From getting so much more sun in this area here. Just want to take that chance, this opportunity, this early morning sun, to have a look around here. So you can see the bright sun right here. 15 feet behind us, there's no sun, and it slowly works its way into that area. It might seem elementary to people, but until we spend some hours, days, and seasons observing it in our yard, we really don't know where those pockets are because they change throughout the seasons. I hear quite often with people walking through the yard how much sun we get being south-facing, and we do. It's 10 o'clock and it's bright sun here right now, but it's mostly that intense midday sun. Much of the property, that whole side, the entire bottom of the property, with those trees tight in there, and most of the annual gardens get less than 6 hours. Quite a bit can get less than 6 hours continuous sun. And even here is just barely that across this one little swath. Hope that helps. And you're observing the patterns in your yard, knowing where the sun's path is going to be, creating those microclimates with energy absorbing materials like water, concrete, stone. On the other side of that, knowing what works in the shade for those hotter months, knowing where to plant your fruit trees and berry bushes. If you're in a climate like mine, we get a lot of diseases in our apples and pears here. They're very tough to grow, so knowing that, I wanted to make sure they dried off first thing in the morning. Some honkers going over. Okay. If you like this video, please like and share. This is Phat Ninja Farm. This is a 7-year-old permaculture designed food forest in Asheville, North Carolina. We've been absolutely blown away by the results. It's much more than we ever imagined when we started. So we're trying to inspire others now with what we've seen, learned, and are coming to understand here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Again, I'm George. This is Phat Ninja Farm. Be kind to one another. Peace.